You are watching the Global Gamers Invitational Tournament brought to you by iFixit. SCVs for the real world. The Handsome Nerd attire for the handsomest of nerds. And Esports United, sponsored by Intel. This broadcast is also made possible by CapochP, TeamLiquid.net, and of course, Blizzard Entertainment. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Mac. I am here with Railcoon when we at CapochP are proud to bring you Game 5 of this match of the Global Gamers Invitational between Capoch and his other Protoss opponent TT1. We've had an exciting first 4 games, all of them 15 minutes or less, and TT1 has been very, well, doing his best to hold off with Immortals against Capoch, who just loves the 4-gate. And why mess with a good thing? I imagine Capoch is going to be doing the same thing. We will be watching with bated breath the energy of Capoch to see if he's saving up for that same warp gate build. But before we do that, let's quickly thank those sponsors. Everyone with me, since we all know it. They are, of course, iFixit SCVs for the real world, Esports United, sponsored by Intel, and of course the Handsome Nerd attire for the handsomest of nerds. And as we mentioned before, you can, of course, get CapochP TV t-shirts there, as well as we are the first and only, so far, partner of the Handsome Nerd.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more eventually, but the Capoch liking the 4 warp gates, not really a big surprise if you think about it. He came from a Dawn of War 2 background, just another RTS that was just mechanically completely different from StarCraft. It was based around squads, which at first you'd think would make it easier, except for the problem was the squads completed like the squads what they did was they behaved like complete idiots. So they never ever did what you wanted them to do, so you're always micromanaging them, making sure they did exactly what they needed to do. So what it made happen was when you're doing that with squads that are in 3 different places on the map, because that would happen in Dawn of War 2, you had to have good multitasking, you had to have really good control, and that carries over into a strategy like the 4 warp gate really well, where you're warping at a lot of units and then just microing the hell out of them. So it makes a lot of sense as to why Capoch keeps doing this. His energy is building up, so he's going to go for it. Game number 5, he's not going to deviate. And you know, it's the last game, this is it for all the marbles. If he wins this, he'll be facing Morrow in the semifinals. And they're starting to make it up close to the good amounts of money here. So he can taste it, so he's going to stick with the 4 warp gate. Like I've said, it's his bread and butter. He's really good at it. It doesn't matter. Like you saw, TT1 seemingly held off the first 2 effortlessly, and then Capoch won the next 2 just because it's always a threat.
Yeah, so of course a lot at stake here. The winner has a very good shot at making some money, and TT1 performing a gas steal, grabbing that other extractor of TT1, I guess a simulator technically, and that might throw a wrench in the gears. But no doubt we're going to be seeing a very intense pitched battle very soon as Capoch prepares to execute that 4-gate. And I imagine we're going to see some pretty intense micro. Now, a lot has to do, and I see it too. There is a green dot on the map. Capoch has snuck in 1 pylon. I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe 1 or 2 more any moment. And wow, this is going to be a pretty intense early game. I can see it already. Capoch forced the play off of only 1 gas. TT1 knows for a fact that Capoch is going to have a hard time sitting around for 900 hit points of damage in his own base.
Yeah, and that's an interesting play by TT1, because one of the things that happens is when you for somebody who even wants to go the 1-gate robo style, if you take their gas, many times they'll switch over to a 4 warp gate strategy. So TT1 actually taking that gas is almost like he wants Capoch to 4 warp gate again this time. It seems like he's feeling confident on this map. He thinks he can stop it. Oh, and he takes out the probe from Capoch. He actually didn't drop any more pylons. I thought he was going to go crazy, start dropping like 5 pylons, 6 pylons. Trademark Capoch, I'm going to make way more than you can possibly kill until before my warp gates finish. And he had the perfect opportunity for it, but he never started the extra pylons. Now, he's busy in his base cutting away at the assimilator, and
have you noticed what he's dropped yet?
What has he dropped?
There is a robotics facility down for Capoch. He is going 2-gate robo, and meanwhile TT1 going 3-gate robo.
He's going 4-gate robo.
There's a 4th gate?
Yeah, there's 4 gates here for Capoch. He made 4 warp gates and
Oh,
then
so there they are, yeah.
dropped the robotics facility. So I'm not certain what he's doing. Is he just going to go for that same warp prism play that he did in the game on Metalopolis? Load up these first zealots, just drop them straight in TT1's base, go into phasing mode, and then just start warping in. And this is really dangerous because TT1's actually moving across the map. I don't know if he's hitting the watchtower or if he's actually going for an attack. If he is in fact going for the warp prism, which he is, both players might hit each other's base at the same time. And then of course it's going to come down to the multitasking. Who can fight on 2 fronts better than their opponent? But Capoch does see that TT1 is coming through the middle of the map, so he is going to back off. He's not going to go for that drop. He's going to play the defender role this time, which is, whoa, that's completely backwards.
And this is such a dangerous attack coming. There's a lot of immortals, tons of zealots, no stalkers, all coming down to that sentry usage, and Capoch just has so few units right now.
Yeah, he hasn't warped in anything. He was saving for that warp prism. He loaded up 4 zealots anyway. He's flying them in. He's going to drop them straight into the mineral line. TT1 has not gone in yet. He needs to get up this ramp. There's still several force fields on these sentries here for Capoch, but he's too busy microing. He uses a Guardian Shield instead of a force field on the ramp, so TT1's can be able to get up the ramp. TT1 pulling his workers off, and Capoch is warping in TT1's base instead of his own. So here it comes. This is going to come down to the control. Who can manage this battle on 2 sides better? TT1's fighting with just zealots and probes, which is almost automated, so he's free to micro in Capoch's base, and this is just really close. It looks like both players are coming out on top in their own bases, neither player taking the advantage on both sides. But if we look at the worker count, TT1 is up by about 4 after all of the dust settles. So that's going to be really beneficial for TT1. He was able to hold off the attack in his base just a little bit better than Capoch did.
Now, what one part of the story we are missing is that TT1 sacrificed a lot more units to get that slight probe advantage. So Capoch getting ready to drop more units inside his opponent's base, 3 zealots and a sentry, and he's going back to grab more. He can deploy after that to warp in units directly, and I don't think TT1 is ready for this at all. He has a slight advantage in workers, but his army is actually considerably smaller, so he's incredibly vulnerable to this push from Capoch. There's the deployment from the Warp Prism, warping in more zealots. That's a pure zealot army with a single sentry. And meanwhile, it looks like TT1 getting suspicious, going to check that corner. There it is. He sees it. A considerably larger force from his opponent. Force field goes down. 2 force fields, completely useless. TT1 does have some exposed probes and a pylon. Another force field going down, trying to trap. Good control there by TT1. Unfortunately, he is so badly outnumbered. He has trapped many zealots, not able to do anything, and he's using those sentries to focus fire. He might be able to do this. The probes are not being killed, but there it is. A lot more zealots coming in from Capoch, trying to focus down sentries with good force fields once again to delay this. One of them does get trapped, but yes, you were right.
TT1 just does not have any units left. There it is. There's the GG.
TT1 is eliminated.
TT1, but he's out. Capoch is going to move on, for Warp Gate 5 games in a row. Getting a little tricky with the Warp Prisms, and I gotta wonder why TT1 was just hanging out there. He had to have seen the Warp Prism in the first time. So I figure he would have been watching for it to come in, but he was just chilling in his base. He allowed Capoch to fly all those units over there. And like you said, since he was able to ferry all that units over, since he had that unit advantage, I was basically more than TT1 could hold off. If he'd been able to deny the Warp Prism, that might have been a completely different story, as TT1 would have had the time to make those extra probes pay off in a low economy game. But congratulations to Capoch. He loses the first 2, but he sticks with his guns and keeps doing the same thing, and he makes it work.
Yeah, so he will be moving on. He will be playing Morrow in a semifinal. We have another semifinal between Sen and White Raw. So we have 2 really great games to look forward to in the coming week. And I think that'll probably be, given the way we've been going, probably next Tuesday or Thursday. So thanks a ton, guys, for tuning in. This was a very exciting series. I am actually, frankly, surprised. I thought TT1 was going to have this for sure, but Capoch excellently played. I guess the lag he complained of in the second match was real, and certainly turned it around after that. TT1 even said only 1 game left, and it turns out there were 3.